Have you ever prayed with tears in your eyes and heard nothing but silence? Have you ever done everything right? Trusted, waited, believed, and still watched the door close? If your heart feels tired, if your faith feels thin, this message is for you. Do not mistake delay for denial. Do not mistake loss for abandonment. What feels like the end may be the very place where heaven is rearranging your future. Delay does not mean denial. There are seasons in life when heaven feels quiet, when prayers seem to rise but never return with an answer, and the waiting stretches longer than the strength to endure it. In those moments, the heart begins to interpret silence as rejection and delay as refusal. Yet divine timing does not move according to human urgency. What feels slow to the soul is often precise in purpose. Delay is not absence. Silence is not abandonment. When the answer does not arrive immediately, it is not because God is unwilling, but because something unseen is still being prepared. The waiting room of life is not empty. It is full of work that cannot be rushed. Roots grow in secret before fruit ever appears in public. A foundation must be laid deep before a structure can rise high. Many confuse speed with favor, believing that immediate results are proof of approval. But the greatest transformations are never instant. A seed that is forced to grow too quickly will break before it can bear weight. In the same way, a blessing delivered before the heart is ready can become a burden rather than a gift. Delay guards the soul from receiving what it cannot yet sustain. There are lessons that cannot be taught through explanation alone. They are learned through endurance, patience, and trust when outcomes remain hidden. Waiting reshapes desire, refines intention, and purifies motive. What once was pursued for pride is slowly replaced with a hunger for peace. What once was demanded becomes something humbly entrusted. Delay also protects from unseen harm. What looks like a missed opportunity may actually be a spared disaster. The path that appears smooth at first may end in exhaustion, regret, or loss of purpose. The closed door saves the traveler from a road that would have taken more than it gave. The withheld answer prevents attachment to something that would have slowly stolen joy. Time reveals what haste conceals. During the waiting, clarity grows. The heart learns to discern what is necessary from what is merely desired. Some prayers remain unanswered not because they are wrong, but because they are incomplete. They lack the wisdom that only time can produce. Delay allows understanding to catch up with desire. There is also a shaping of character that occurs only in postponement. Patience is not born in fulfillment, but in restraint. Faith matures not when everything aligns, but when trust remains steady despite uncertainty. Delay trains the soul to lean not on outcomes, but on assurance that purpose exists even when the path is unclear. The greatest work are often preceded by long periods of preparation that appear insignificant from the outside. Years of obscurity sharpen discernment. Seasons of stillness strengthen resolve. The unseen work becomes the backbone of future responsibility. Without it, success would collapse under its own weight. Delay invites surrender. It asks the heart to release control and rest in something higher than immediate understanding. It shifts the focus from demanding results to developing resilience. The waiting becomes a sacred space where transformation happens quietly, steadily, and thoroughly. Those who endure delay without bitterness emerge with depth. They carry wisdom instead of resentment. Their joy is not fragile because it was not built on speed. Their peace does not depend on circumstances because it was formed in uncertainty. Delay, when embraced, becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. Closed doors are often divine protection, not rejection. There are moments when a door shuts so suddenly that it startles the heart. Plans collapse, opportunities disappear, and what once seemed certain becomes unreachable. In those moments, the soul often assumes it has been refused, overlooked, or deemed unworthy. Yet a closed door is not always a verdict against you. Many times, it is a shield placed in front of you. What appears as rejection is often restraint filled with mercy. The human eye sees only the immediate loss, but divine vision sees the full consequence of what lies beyond that door. Some places would have demanded more than they could ever give. Some relationships would have drained strength, peace, and purpose slowly, quietly, until nothing remained. The door closed not because you were insufficient, but because you were too valuable to be left unguarded. A closed door redirects before destruction arrives. It interrupts momentum that would have led into exhaustion or compromise. Often the heart desires what feels familiar or exciting, unaware of the cost hidden beneath the surface. Protection does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like disappointment. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like being pushed back when you were ready to move forward. There are paths that look promising at the beginning but narrow into places where the soul cannot breathe. There are environments that reward achievement but punish integrity. There are successes that feed the ego but starve the spirit. When access is denied, it is not because you are incapable, but because remaining would have slowly shaped you into someone you were never meant to become. The pain of a closed door often comes from not knowing what was avoided. The heart grieves what it imagined life could have been. It mourns the picture it painted, not the reality that would have unfolded. Protection works quietly, rarely explaining itself. It trusts that understanding will come later, when distance provides clarity and hindsight reveals mercy. Many doors close because timing is wrong, not because calling is absent. Entering too early can be just as harmful as never entering at all. Some spaces require maturity, wisdom, or strength that can only be formed elsewhere. The delay created by a closed door allows growth to catch up with opportunity. Without that preparation, success would have crushed rather than elevated. Closed doors also test trust. They ask whether faith is rooted in outcomes or in guidance. They reveal whether the heart is willing to follow even when the path changes. Resistance to a closed door often comes from fear of the unknown. But protection always points away from danger, even if the alternative route is unclear. There is also protection from comparison hidden in closed doors. What works for another may not work for you. What blesses one person may burden another. Access denied is sometimes preservation of identity. It keeps you from forcing yourself into spaces where you would have had to shrink, pretend, or compromise just to belong. Some doors close because something better requires you to keep moving. Staying would have delayed the encounter with what truly aligns with your purpose. The closing becomes a redirection, gently or forcefully turning your steps toward a future you could not yet see. What feels like loss becomes alignment when viewed through patience. Protection does not always feel like safety in the moment. It can feel like being left behind, misunderstood, or overlooked. But protection is never random. It is intentional, precise, and deeply personal. The door closes exactly when it must, exactly where it must, to keep the soul from settling for less than it was designed to carry. God's plan shapes your character before it changes your situation. The heart often longs for change in circumstances, believing that relief will come when the situation shifts. Yet transformation does not begin on the outside. It begins quietly within. Before paths are altered and doors are opened, the inner life is shaped with intention. What happens inside the soul determines how the future will be carried. When it arrives, character is formed in places where no one applauds. It is shaped in the unseen hours of obedience, in choices made with recognition, and in restraint when reaction would be easier. External change without internal preparation would create imbalance. A life altered too quickly without character to support, it would collapse under the weight of its own blessing. The shaping process often feels uncomfortable because it stretches what is weak and confronts what is hidden. Pride is exposed. Impatience is revealed. Self-reliance is tested. These moments are not meant to shame but to refine. They bring awareness to what must be strengthened before responsibility increases. A vessel must be reinforced before it can be filled. When circumstances remain unchanged, it is not stagnation but cultivation. The heart learns humility when control is removed. Trust deepens when outcomes remain uncertain. Compassion grows when suffering is experienced personally. These qualities cannot be taught through comfort. They are born in tension, sustained through perseverance, and matured through surrender. Many desire elevation without preparation, influence without integrity, and reward without endurance. But position amplifies what already exists within. Without character, success magnifies insecurity. Without humility, authority produces harm. Without patience, blessing becomes pressure. The inner work ensures that what is received will not destroy the one who receives it, Shaping also corrects perspective. It realigns desires with purpose. What once seemed urgent slowly becomes secondary. The heart learns to value wisdom over speed and depth over applause. This internal shift is essential, because the future requires discernment more than enthusiasm. Excitement fades, but character sustains. The shaping process is often mistaken for delay or punishment, because it happens quietly and gradually. There are no visible milestones, no immediate rewards. Yet every moment of faithfulness is building strength beneath the surface. The unseen work determines whether the future will be managed with grace or squandered. Through immaturity, there is also a refinement of motive during this season. The heart is asked difficult questions. Is the desire rooted in calling or in comparison? Is the pursuit driven by purpose or by fear of being left behind? These questions strip away false ambition and reveal what truly matters. The shaping protects the soul from chasing what was never meant for it. Situations change quickly, but character remains. A transformed circumstance without a transformed heart leads to repetition of the same struggles in a different environment. The shaping breaks cycles rather than relocating them. It ensures that when the environment changes, the response will also change. Growth within prepares the soul for longevity. It teaches how to endure success without losing gratitude and how to face challenge without losing hope. The shaping equips the heart to remain steady regardless of season. Stability is not found in circumstances, but in the strength built during seasons of formation. The inner work is evidence of care, not neglect. Attention is being given to what matters most. The shaping is precise, intentional, and deeply personal. It touches areas no one else can see and strengthens foundations that will one day carry great responsibility. What feels like stillness on the outside is active transformation on the inside. Waiting seasons refine faith and prepare the heart for greater purpose. Waiting is one of the most misunderstood seasons of life. It is often viewed as wasted time, a pause between meaningful moments, or an obstacle standing in the way of progress. Yet waiting is not empty. It is a deliberate space where faith is stretched beyond comfort and the heart is prepared for responsibilities it does not yet see. What feels like stillness on the surface is often movement at the deepest level. In waiting, faith is stripped of reliance on outcomes. When answers are delayed, belief can no longer depend on visible results. It must learn to stand on trust alone. This kind of faith is quieter, steadier, and stronger. It does not demand signs at every step. It walks forward, even when the road fades into uncertainty. Waiting teaches faith to breathe without proof. The heart also learns patience during these seasons, not as passive resignation, but as active endurance. Patience in waiting is the ability to remain obedient without immediate reward. It resists bitterness, guards hope, and chooses faithfulness day after day. This endurance shapes resilience, ensuring that when challenges arise later, the soul does not collapse under pressure. Waiting reveals what the heart truly depends on. When distractions are removed and progress slows, hidden attachments surface. The heart confronts fears it previously avoided and desires it never questioned. This exposure is not meant to harm, but to heal. It invites alignment, removing what would interfere with purpose later. In waiting, the heart is also trained to listen. Fades. Urgency softens. Awareness sharpens. Discernment grows as the heart learns to recognize guidance not through force but through peace. This sensitivity becomes essential for future responsibility. Those who learn to stand in stillness are less likely to lose direction when movement increases. Purpose requires capacity. Waiting expands that capacity. It strengthens emotional depth, spiritual awareness, and relational wisdom. Without this expansion, responsibility would overwhelm rather than fulfill. Waiting builds the inner space needed to carry influence, leadership, and blessing with humility. There's a refining that takes place in extended seasons of waiting. Doubt is confronted and either surrendered or allowed to harden. Trust is tested and either strengthened or abandoned. Waiting exposes the quality of belief. Faith that survives waiting is no longer fragile. It has endured silence and remained intact. The waiting season also reshapes how fulfillment is defined. The heart learns that joy is not solely found in arrival but in alignment. Contentment grows independent of achievement. This shift protects the soul from chasing success at the cost of peace. Purpose pursued without inner rest becomes exhaustion. Waiting teaches balance before progress accelerates. Waiting prepares the heart to steward what is coming. Blessings unmanaged become burdens. Influence untempered becomes control. Opportunity without wisdom becomes regret. Waiting ensures that when the moment arrives, the heart is ready to receive without losing itself in the process. These seasons also deepen compassion. Those who have waited understand the pain of others who are waiting. They learn empathy rather than judgment. This sensitivity becomes essential for purpose that involves serving, leading, or guiding others. Without it, success would isolate rather than connect. Waiting is not a punishment, but an invitation to grow roots deeper than circumstances. What is built during waiting is durable. It does not depend on external validation or constant progress. It stands firm because it was shaped in stillness, strengthened through endurance, and refined by trust without immediate reward. What is coming will bring peace, not regret. Trust the process. The heart often imagines the future through desire. Shaped by urgency and emotion, it reaches forward, grasping for relief, success, or recognition, believing that arrival will finally quiet the restlessness within. Yet not every future that looks promising brings peace. Some destinations glitter briefly but leave the soul empty. True fulfillment does not shout, it settles. What is meant for you will not demand the sacrifice of inner peace to obtain it. Regret is the fruit of choices made too quickly, guided by fear, comparison, or pressure. Peace, however, grows slowly, rooted in alignment rather than urgency. The process that feels long and uncertain is often the very thing preventing regret. Each step refines discernment, teaching the heart to recognize what resonates with purpose instead of impulse. Trusting the process requires surrendering control over timing and outcome. It asks the heart to believe that guidance exists even when clarity does not. This trust is not passive. It is an active decision to move forward without forcing doors, without manipulating circumstances, without abandoning values to accelerate progress. Peace cannot be rushed. It arrives when the heart is aligned, not when the clock demands it. The process shapes perspective. It teaches the heart to value growth over speed and integrity over appearance. During this journey, desires are clarified. What once seemed essential begins to lose its grip. What truly matters becomes clearer. This clarity is a safeguard, ensuring that future decisions are made with wisdom rather than desperation. Peace in what is coming does not mean the absence of challenge. It means the presence of assurance. It means walking into responsibility without fear of losing oneself. The process prepares the heart to carry success without pride and disappointment without despair. It creates balance, allowing joy and struggle to coexist without conflict. Regret often follows when the inner life is ignored. When progress outpaces maturity, consequences follow. The process slows this pace intentionally, aligning external movement with internal readiness. It ensures that what is gained will be sustained, and what is achieved will not become a source of anxiety or emptiness. Trusting the process also heals impatience. It quiets the voice that compares progress with others and questions worth based on milestones. Each journey is distinct. Each path unfolds according to purpose, not PR. The process honors individuality, guiding each step with precision rather than haste. Peace is not found at the end alone. It is cultivated throughout the process. Small confirmations, moments of clarity, and quiet strength accumulate over time. These moments reassure the heart that it is moving in the right direction, even when the destination remains unseen. This steady peace becomes a compass guiding decisions and guarding against detours driven by fear. The process also protects joy. When expectations are shaped by patience rather than fantasy, outcomes are received with gratitude instead of disappointment. What arrives is appreciated for what it is, not resented for what it is not. This acceptance deepens fulfillment and reduces the weight of unmet expectations. Trusting the process requires courage. It means releasing the need to understand every step and embracing the mystery of growth. It means believing that what is unfolding has been considered, measured, and designed with care. The heart learns to rest in the assurance that nothing is wasted, nothing is random, and nothing is arriving too late. What is coming carries peace because it aligns with purpose, values, and readiness. It will not require compromise to maintain. It will not demand silence of conscience to succeed. It will feel steady rather than frantic. fulfilling rather than exhausting, rooted rather than fragile.